it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet the Nordic Spruce Shawl. This is a very easy triangle shawl, and we are going to learn how to work the stitches and to create this beautiful triangle shape with these stitches and doing some increases at the corner. We're going to use some just very simple double crochet stitches, and I'm also going to show you how to switch colors if you'd like to do a striping sequence like me. Now I did 3 colors, but you can mix it up. You could even use some self-changing colors like in a cake yarn or something like that. So let's get started. Now, like I mentioned before, this is a triangle shawl. So the top edge of our triangle, the part that would go around your shoulders where your neck would be, is about 64 inches across. And then if we come over here to the side of our triangle, from the corner point all the way down to the bottom point, this side and then the other side, each side of our triangle measures about 58 inches. And then if we take the bottom point of our triangle and go straight up the middle to the middle of the top, that is about 36 inches. So just to give you an idea, it's a very nice size shawl to wear. Large enough to keep you warm, but it's not huge either. So it's a nice size shawl. It's not too big to be super huge and bulky, but it's not small to where it would be falling off. It's a great size, but you can work more or less rows if you'd like to customize the size. It's a very easy size to change if you like. For this project, you'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. We're going to be using a 6.5mm K crochet hook. This is my Furls Odyssey. I'll put the link down below in case you'd like to get one for yourself as well. And then let me just slide this out of the way. We have some wonderful yarn here. Now I am going to be making a very large wrap, kind of like a blanket shawl type of wrap. So I have about 800 yards of yarn sitting here. Now, this is one of those things where the more rounds you work, it's going to grow in width and height as well. So you could use less yarn if you want your wrap to be a little bit smaller, but I'm going to be using 800 yards of worsted weight yarn. Now, specifically, the yarn that I'll be using, these 2 colors here are both called Knitology Glowing Worsted. This is a knit crate yarn. This is the colorway Beta. It's like kind of jewel tone purple color, and then this colorway is called Pachyderm. It's like a deep teal color, and then this is also worsted weight yarn. This is called Ambient Worsted by Knit Crate as well, and the colorway is called Fresco. It's like a pale gray. These 2 are each 100 yards, and then each one of these is 150 yards. So we have 300 yards, 600 yards, 700 yards, 800 yards, okay? So if you want yours to be a big, wide and tall blanket wrap like I'm going to be doing, 800 yards of worsted weight yarn and the 6.5mm K crochet hook. Okay, so I got my yarn all caked up. I wanted to mention earlier in the video I showed the yarn as skeins, but I've since caked them to use them. If you have a skein like I did, you don't have to do a fancy cake like this. You could also wind it into a ball as well. Okay, so let's grab our hook and one of the yarn colors. Let's start with this teal. I think that's pretty. I'm going to show you how to do the first couple of rows of this pattern, and then I'm going to show you later how to switch colors as well. Okay, so I'm going to zoom way in so you can see my stitches I'm going to be working on here. Now, our shawl is a very easy, solid triangle. And what we're going to do is work 3 rows, and then for row 3, the third and final row, we're going to just repeat row 3 over and over. We're going to go through each row together. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is grab the yarn in the first color you want and your hook, and what we're going to do is wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop, bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up a loop, and tighten. Then what you're going to do is chain 4. So to make a chain, wrap the yarn around the hook, bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then you're going to join in the farthest chain from the hook, the first chain that you made. So insert the hook into that farthest chain, bring up a loop. Now you're going to bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. And then you'll have a ring, and we're going to be working into that ring. We also have a tail. We're going to hold the tail along the edge as we work and weave the ends in as we go. Now we're going to be doing some changing of colors throughout the project, so whenever possible, if you could weave in the ends as you go along, it'll save you a lot of time at the end of the project. Okay, so for row 1, now I say row, even though we have a ring that we'll be working into, normally with a ring, we normally work in rounds with that, but we're going to be working in rows for this one. Okay, so for row 1, what we're going to do is chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then in the center of the ring, we're going to work 2 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So to make a double crochet, wrap the yarn around the hook, insert the hook into the center of the ring and bring up a loop. Wrap the yarn around the hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, wrap the yarn around the hook, bring it through the last 2 loops on your hook. Then we're going to work 1 more double crochet into the center of the ring. And then what we're going to do is chain 2, 1, 2, still holding that tail along the edge as we work. And then we're going to work 3 more double crochets into the center of the ring. So 1, 2, and 3. Just like that. So this tail that you see right here that we sort of wove in, that is going to be, this is the bottom of our triangle, but it'll eventually be the top edge of it. So that'll make more sense as it gets bigger. For row 2, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and turn our work. Now in the very first stitch, and that is this, if you can see at the base of this chain, see how there's a loop right in that stitch there, we're going to work 2 double crochets. So 1 and 2, just like that. And then we're going to work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So work a double crochet in the next stitch and a double crochet into the next stitch. And then this will be our corner space from the last row that we did. We're going to work 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and that's how we're going to work the corners from here on out. Okay, so in that corner space, work 2 double crochet, 1, 2, then chain 2. 1, 2, that'll give us the corner space for the next row, and then 2 more double crochet all in that same space. So 1 and 2, just like that. Okay, you're starting to see a little bit of a upswing here for our triangle. Okay, now for the rest of the row, we're going to work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So that next stitch you come to, work a double crochet, and that next stitch you come to, work a double crochet. Now in the turning chain space, remember we did that turning chain when we turned, that space we're going to work 3 double crochet. So 1, 2, and 3, just like that. Okay, so if we look at what we've done so far, we can see we have a little like upside down triangle. This will eventually, not to confuse you right now, but this will eventually be the top edge of the shawl, and this point will go down to the bottom, okay? But here we are right here at the end. Okay, so for the rest of your project, you're going to work row 3 over and over and over until your shawl is as large as you would like it to be. I'm going to make mine very large and very cozy to wrap it around. But you can make it a shawlette. You can make it as large or as small as you like. The next thing I'm going to do though is show you how to switch colors. Okay, so what I want to do now is cut the yarn. I'm going to grab my scissors over here. Now I will say, as your shawl, before I cut, I want to tell you one more thing. As your shawl gets bigger, let me scoot this over, as it grows in width and height, you're going to have more side stitches. So we only did a few to start, only 2 of them on each side, but each row you work, as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you'll have many more side stitches down the side, okay? So we're going to do the next row together. Even though we are repeating row 3, we're going to do the next row together. So go ahead and cut the yarn. And again, we're going to weave that tail in as we go. I'm going to do a row of this gray just to sort of separate these dark jewel tones from one another. Just to give it a little bit of a change, for your eye. And then what I'm going to do is wrap the yarn around the hook, bring it through the loop to fasten off. And then what we're going to do is where we tied that yarn, there will be a stitch there, little hole, little loop there. Insert the hook into that stitch, hook the new yarn on, just like that, and bring it through. Tie it right on there. And then we're ready to go for the next row. So we're going to hold these tails along the edges we work as well. So insert the hook back into that same area where you tied the yarn, bring up a loop, and then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and turn our work. Now in that same stitch, we're going to work 2 double crochets at the base of that chain 3. Okay, so work 2 double crochet, 1 and 2. Now we're going to have a few more side stitches. So basically you're just going to work a double crochet in each stitch until you get to that corner space. Remember that corner space that we did? So we're going to have more this time, okay? So I'm still holding my tails along the edge. So work a double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, get a little bit more yarn, double crochet into the next stitch, holding those tails, and you can give them a tug to kind of like straighten them out. Double crochet in the next stitch, and as you can see, we have a lot more side stitches this time than we did before. So you're going to be adding them every time as your triangle grows. And again, I'm making mine very large, but you don't have to necessarily. Okay, so I worked a double crochet in every side stitch all the way up, and you can see how it's growing. And I'm going to drop my tails because I feel like they've been woven insufficiently. And now we're at the corner space. So remember, the corner spaces are worked the same every time. So you will have many more side stitches each time, but the corner spaces are always the same. And they are 2 double crochet, 1, 2, chain 2, 1, 2, and 2 double crochet all in that same corner space. Okay, so 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, just like that. Okay, now we're going to come back down. So work your, now you might need to slide things over a bit, work your double crochet in each stitch all the way down your triangle. So work one in that first stitch, work a double crochet in the next stitch, all the way down the side. Okay, I came down the side. I'm just working one in that last stitch that I came to, and then the same thing we did before, because we're just repeating row 3. Remember that turning chain space, work your 3 double crochets in that turning chain space. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I'm going to switch to the purple next. So I'm going to cut my yarn, but if you want to keep going with the same color, you can just keep on going. But I just wanted to show you that we have a nice little triangle going. And like I said before, you're going to have more side stitches every time you add a new row to your piece. And what you can do too to keep things nice and neat, you can take these tails and trim them as you go, okay? You don't have to, but if you kind of want to get them out of the way, it is helpful. So keep going with your triangle and we'll rejoin in just a moment and see how we've done. Just working that last stitch of the row, and I have just enough yarn to finish. So what we're going to do now is fasten off. So what you'll need to do is grab your tapestry needle and a pair of scissors, and anywhere you see a tail, you'll want to weave that in. So what I would recommend You want to thread your tapestry needle, and what I would recommend is whatever color tail you're weaving in, stay in that area. So you don't have, for example, this is that pale gray. I don't want it to travel through this teal area. It'll just be this pale gray line through it. So when we weave our ends in, just stick to the color that you're weaving, okay? So we're going to go in one direction like this, and we're going to come back in the other direction. Now this wrap is reversible, so you want to be mindful that it doesn't show on either side as well. All right, so I went in two directions with my tail, and then I'm just gonna kind of reshape it a little bit, and then what we want to do is weave in the rest of our tails. But I just want to show you how pretty these colors came out. They look really nice, like some jewel tones, and the blue and the purple are very similar, so I am glad I decided to do the gray in between each color separation. So go ahead and weave the rest of your tails in next. Okay, so all of our ends are woven in and it looks beautiful. It's ready to wear. So that is how you crochet the Nordic Spruce Shawl. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.